What's up, high school leaders? Hey,
what up, what up?
We wanted to connect with you to talk about the split. We know that we've shared a Google Doc that gives an overview of paper, but what we really want to do is from our mouths, you hear the vision and the posture and what we are excited about with this split, because we truly believe that we are doing this because we have a single individual in mind. You know, Switch is a big place. We've grown tremendously over this last year. And so we know that Shawnee's a smaller community. And so one of the things that we see potentially being an issue, a lid, if you will, that we're not breaking through is that Switch feels overwhelming at times. Switch feels big and hard to connect. And this split is going to help us focus that much more on our students and give us more margin to focus on and spend time in the right ways with our students. And that's what I'm so excited about. So what Martin is going to do is he's going to walk us through what, as a high school leader, the night looks like for you. We've already shot the video for middle school leaders.
We did.
So we're going to explain to you from top to bottom what it looks like for a high school leader to enter Switch. And what I would just say from the top is basically nothing's changed, just everything in your night is delayed. That's kind of what it looks like. But go ahead, let's kick it off. So doors open at 6:30 still.
Doors open at 6:30 still. And so from that time, from 6:30 to 7:15, 17:15 is going to have combined worship, but until that time, it's going to be a great time where you can just connect with your students. You're going to just talk with them, and that's going to be your whole connection time.
You have more connection time than ever.
It's insane, too. Because then from the time of when you're like, oh, man, I don't know if I was able to catch up with them, or ask them about their week, or ask them about last week, this is the perfect time. And just like what, Tanner, you're talking about, is that we want to be able to create that experience for that individual to know that they can connect with other students, they can connect with you, so they can feel seen and cared for.
Right.
And so we're really pumped up to hear the stories from you of how you're going to be able to connect with them, have fun with them. We're going to have, and this is actually something that's actually pretty cool too. Middle school, we'll just be having drinks for hospitality, but for high school, they're going to be having drinks and snacks. So a little bit of a different thing on there.
Right when you walk in there.
Right when you walk in there.
We're not feeding the middle schoolers and pumping them with sugar until the very end of the night.
Exactly.
That's because when you have lobby time, they're going to be watching the message already. So what you get is an opportunity to create an environment that is welcoming, that's accepting, that's excited to see our students, because it is only high school from 6:30 to, well, really from about 6:40 to 7:15. It is only high school that's out there in the lobby. So that means if you're a small group leader, here's how I would be processing that time. I'm going to be doing everything I can to spend time with my students in 9 Square, or to get to know them better, or to catch up like Martine was talking about. And if I look around and I'm like, man, there's so many high schoolers in here. There's so many leaders that could connect with our students. Lead the way in being a leader who doesn't just talk with other leaders, but connects with your students, who goes out of the way to greet them. So high school check-in is still down at the Life Kids area. And so if I'm a high school leader, I'm kind of hanging out over there by the high school leader, or high school check-in, just waiting for my students to get there. And then as soon as they start getting there, I'm just going to start hanging out with them. Playing 9 Square, doing Gaga Ball, playing video games, sitting down and talking, going outside and playing basketball. Because again, it is only high school that's out there in the lobby. Take full advantage of that time. And then we're going to transition into worship there, which is the only time that every single leader and every single student is in the auditorium now at the same time. So let's talk a little bit about what that preparation looks like. So you're going to have a couple of different leaders that are going to start making rounds about 7:10 and telling students and you to go up to the main auditorium doors and wait until you see a countdown timer up on the screen. When that countdown timer comes on, you're going to go in, and our students and you as leaders are going to be able to go down the middle aisle to the front of the stage. Middle school is going to be on both sides, kind of like how they are now, but they're already going to be in there. So we're going to be waiting on high school to come into the front of the stage before we start the worship set. And here's what I would say about that. Be mindful, and I think, Martine, it would be natural too, walk in the back and kind of be the caboose, if you will, to all the high schoolers walking in. I want to encourage you to do this. Walk in with your students. If it's by one student, it's by one student. It's by most of your small group kids, that's how it is. But walk in with your students and just be a part of worship, not sitting there at the back, but engage amongst your students. One, they're seeing you worship. They're seeing you lay down the things in your life at the feet of Jesus. But the other thing that this allows you to cultivate what we want with worship. You are a part of this. And I want to make this super clear. You do not need to wait for anybody's permission to pull a kid out who's being disrespectful or disruptive and having a conversation with them. So here's what I would say. If you've told a student more than twice to shut up or to be quiet or to stop talking or to stop messing with somebody, what I would say is go and grab another leader. Go grab that kid and say, hey, I need you to come out in the lobby and talk with them. Hey, that's not what this time is for. I want you to get the most out of this time. Tell me what's going on. Tell me why you're not listening to me. You don't have to wait for anybody to have that conversation. You are a steward of our culture, and you are a leader who we trust. And so if you need help in that, go grab somebody. But you can grab another leader and go ahead and have that conversation. And here's where I would say things look quite a bit different when it comes to after worship. So worship ends, middle schoolers go out into the lobby, and they are going to do first their small group time, second their hangout time. So small group time for them is from about 7:30 to 8, and then their hangout time is from about 8 to 8:40 when pickup starts. Now, you as a small group leader, you as a high school small group leader, you just experienced worship, you're about to watch the message and small groups. Again, the night looks very, very similar, but it's going to look a little bit different for you too. Here's where it's different. So for the first time ever, we're letting all of our students sit wherever they want in the middle. So there's no longer guys section and girls section, but for high school only, we are saying, hey, you can sit wherever. You can find your small group and sit with your small group, or you can sit with a friend if you came with a friend. And here's why we're doing that. Here's why we believe that this is something worth doing until it's something that we can't do anymore, and hopefully we never get to that point. There's a lot of students that have actually shared with us that the reason that they haven't come back to Switch is they came with a guy or they came with a girl, and then immediately we separated them, and all of a sudden they didn't know anybody and they didn't feel comfortable anymore. Now, understand that there's some nuances to that. And quite honestly, I love the way that we do things because I think it creates the most distraction-free environment. But here's where I'm going to challenge our high school students starting next week. I'm going to tell them, hey, this is a privilege, and it's a privilege until it's something that can't be trusted to you anymore. We want to treat you like adults. And we actually even know of a student who I described this to who used to come to Switch. But when I told him, hey, you can sit with whoever you want to from now on, he said, okay, well, I would come back to Switch then. And he didn't have any impure motivation in that. In fact, for him, he comes with his sister. He's super duper introverted. And so his only safe person was removed from him when he came to Switch. And so I absolutely understand that this is going to come with pushback and come with questions that we are going to have to navigate along the way. But if it helps us reach students who otherwise wouldn't come to church, hear me, guys, it's worth doing. And we can continue to set the rules and the expectations of what it looks like to be at Switch and the expectations we have for our students, meaning that it's not just, well, their students were being bad. If a student's acting out of what we would say is appropriate as a Switch student, as a Switch leader, we all get to appropriately handle that. So that means if I'm sitting in the second row and there's a guy and a girl that are texting each other constantly or talking or just being disruptive, I'm not looking around going, where's their small group leaders at? I don't even know how to address this. I'm just going to say, hey, can you guys stop that? And if I have to tell them again, I'm going to go grab somebody else and we're going to separate them. Or we're going to pull them out into the lobby and we're going to have a conversation with them. I don't even know how that happened. But again, I believe that we're doing this to create an environment that's welcoming to high schoolers, and we're trying to give them freedom that we want to trust with them until we can't trust them anymore. And so hopefully we never get to that point because we want everyone to be included and nothing to be in the way of someone having a great experience at Switch. And so sprinkle throughout that middle section. I know that you're probably thinking, well, where the freaking heck do I sit? My small group sat in the same spot for years now. Guess what? There's some nuances and some differences with this that are going to be fun to figure out along the way. And so find a new section, find a new group, find a new place to sit, and then remember that we are all contributors to making sure our students are paying attention and leaned in. And so we're going to share that same vision with them starting next week. So from there, we go where? To 300, right?
300, yep. We go to 300, and then so that's going to look similar to what you guys are already used to. 300, which if you don't know what the 300 is, it's basically where Tanner or myself are just communicating on the stage, talking to you, youth and the students right before the message, and then we'll hear it's the message, and then we'll do the Call of Christ.
Right.
And then from there, we'll be able to talk about next steps, talking about what spiritual discipline that they can be taking in their own life to just increase their faith journey.
Right. Which we always do.
Yeah, we should always do. So that's going to still stay the same. And then after that, which is really cool, you guys are still going to be staying in the auditorium, because after that we're going to have small group time, and we're going to have a good amount of small group time because we actually don't dismiss until 8:40.
Right.
So before it was 8:30, but now we gave it 10 extra minutes to do 8:40, which is going to be awesome to hear how all the stories of how you were able to connect with your students in your small group time, especially after a powerful night, just like last night, where you guys can really dive into some really good topics and just be able to just pastor, love, and care for all your students in your group. So that's super exciting.
And here's what I would say about that as we close out this video. If you want to have great small group time actually starts out in the lobby time when you get there with your students. You can get through all the highs and lows, or you can learn a lot about what actually is going on in their life, what's actually causing them stress, so that when you get to small group time at the end of the night, you can utilize that and utilize the message to actually speak to, okay, but what's the part that Jesus is calling you to? Where's the way that you can become more like Christ? And so oftentimes, great small group time starts before you ever sit down in a circle.
Yeah.
And so we will all be in the very middle. Curtains are going to be pulled, so both middle school and high school are sitting in the same place. And we know this. We know that with this change and this shift, we really believe in why we're doing it, but it's going to come with nuances and things that we did not know to anticipate, or things that were not problems before, but now they're things to figure out because, well, we're doing something we haven't done before. Yep. And with that, I would just say thank you for your posture of fun and flexibility, and just being willing to do this with us. This is something we feel like God has led us to do for a specific purpose. And I think that we're going to see that purpose play out. And I did it again. But I would say with that, we know that there's going to be pushback. We know that you're going to have questions. We want you to fill out the feedback forms and let us know what you think and what your students think. Yeah. We are not above thinking that we've had everything at all figured out with this. Really, we need your help in cultivating the culture that has made Shawnee so special forever. And it's going to give a really clear indication of what makes Shawnee Switch special in the first place, and that's you. And it always has been you and the way that you lead. And I think that we're going to feel that and see that more than ever. So let's bring it. Let's set the tone, and let's be the culture setters that we can. Remember to look for your transitions, to look through the Google Doc that we've sent out. And I cannot wait to see what God does. See you guys this upcoming week. Peace.
Peace.